If you're already feeling that push to make things happen because it's the beginning of the new year, this episode is for you. This is all about how to move forward more consciously so that you don't end up burning out and spinning your wheels, and instead find the power of selective momentum to move you forward. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human, emotional, and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello and happy 2026. I am so glad to be with you in this new year. And I really want to discuss with you how to support you with the New Year's energy, because if you're feeling anything like I am, there is this energy of the new year where we feel its potential, we feel this push to get things started. And certainly this week has felt like, okay, get back to work, start making things happen, go for those goals. And yet we are being asked to do things differently. And so I'm asking us, or inviting us, to hold this tension that you may feel, because as much as we're like, this is a new year, and people are talking about it's the year of the fire horse, and that means, we are stepping into our power and our passion and our courage. Well, if we are really connected to the Chinese New Year and that cycle, it actually doesn't begin until February 17th. And so here we are, we have a new year and we have this new year energy, and yet we are still in the energy of the wood snake, asking us to refine, to be strategic in our planning before we go into this place of rebirth. And so I have really felt this energy, and that's why I felt very much like I had to share with you what I'm doing about it, because I really felt like it felt when I was pregnant many, many years ago, and that last trimester of pregnancy, where it's like there's just kind of this anticipation and excitement, as well as like an agitation, this impatience. It's like something is about to burst, and the body does not know how to contain this energy anymore. And so it's really easy for us to want that energy to be let out. And yet we are being guided, after everything that we did in 2025 was to release so that we can be more refined and attune ourselves so that we are able to do things differently. And this really is about being able to consciously use our fire energy in a way that brings us true momentum. It's forsaking doing just for doing's sake, because a part of us feels like we're going to burst, and instead learning how to consciously navigate this energy that feels like it's going to burst, that feels impatient, that feels agitated. And so there's a big difference between energy that's like, let's just go. And there is this force that's beyond you that's just like, I'm doing this, versus where I feel that I have been. And I'm curious if you are feeling this too. And my sense is you are, based on the astrology, which is, yes, I feel this sense that something's about to be birthed from me, something new that's coming forward, and yet it's not quite the time. And what am I going to do? Am I going to push like society says I should, because now it's the beginning of January and I've got to push and force and make things happen and I've got these goals and I got to take it all on? Or am I going to be willing to do things differently so that I can get a different outcome? And that's our invitation. And what I'll say is that I know what it's like, that to feel that energy that feels like it feels too contained and it wants to break free. And yet, what happens if we allow it to break free too early? So I've had two pregnancies. One was my daughter, my first child, and she was full term. And I had that frenetic energy right before the night before I was about to go in labor. And it was literally me pulling up the couch cushions and like getting under the cushions and vacuuming and doing all this crazy cleaning, because it was like the universe knew I was not going to have time in the years to come to do that again for quite a while. And then I went into labor. And so I had that experience. And then I had the experience of my twins. And my twins came 7.5 weeks early. And certainly in the last trimester, I mean, I was huge. People were screaming at me across the street, like how I looked like I was going to burst, right? And I felt like I was going to burst. But having them come early, of course, that's all in the divine's plan. But what I'll say is that experience, although there was that relief of like, okay, I gave birth and the excitement of that, that there was a cost to that premature birthing. Their lungs weren't developed. They were 5 weeks in the NICU. We were so scared they couldn't breathe on their own. It also came during a time in our life where we didn't have a home. We were remodeling our home, hoping it would be ready by the time we gave birth to the twins. And so it was just a mess. Like we were in between friend's house and parents' house. It was just, it was just chaos. And so this time where I'm feeling that sense of like, I feel that I am pregnant and I'm in that last trimester and I'm about to burst. And I feel this energy that wants to come forward. And I know what it's like in the past to just want to like direct that energy somewhere just to feel like I'm making movement rather than looking at what is this energy preparing me for, and how can we, you and I, sit with any energy that is impatient, that is frustrated, that's agitated, and alchemize it so that it is refined consciousness, pure energy that's moving through us, or moving through us at least more purely, so that instead of light that is like dispersed, that when it's time for the fire horse to come in, that we are this beam of light that is directed and has a power to the direction, and it's aiming towards something that's important to us. And so this is your time to decide, am I going to allow this energy that feels a bit impatient, that has a society and culture telling us like, okay, make all these goals that you're supposed to attain and go for it. And then you find yourself burnt out because it hasn't been done strategically, because we are all working an outdated masculine model that pushes and forces and ends up in burnout and ends up in something that we can't sustain. And then we feel ashamed or not enough or guilty. And so this is the powerful month of January to get super clear on who you've been and shed that skin of the wood snake one more time so that when that part of you that has outgrown that old skin does not go back to old patterns, does not engage in action just because you've got the itch to take action. That sometimes it's more important to allow that dream to bake to the perfect length of time so that when it comes into the world, it does so with greater ease for you. And this is our opportunity to really look at, like, how can I clarify my dream at this time? Not through, I have to have the exact vision. And this is something that I think gets really confusing out in the world about co-creation, is that I've heard people talk about it as like, you've got to know exactly what you want. And I have found that not to be true. It's really the feeling of what you want to feel. And so when we are given emotions along with this sense of taking action, the emotions become the gateway into our subconscious as to where we need refinement, where we are better off refining this energy so it can be more, so it can have the forceful momentum of when that seed breaks open to really grow as the expression that we want to feel within us. And so really being able to honor that. And so this is about really being able to allow the full baking experience to happen so that you have a conscious focus on the long term, not just that short term. You know, I got to get that itch. I've got to get that sense of moving this energy that leads us back into old patterns. So this, it's really recognizing first and foremost that when this energy is about to burst, that we can act prematurely, and in doing so, that can have consequences. It's really about being able to see that when we allow that to come forward, then there might be an aftermath that we have to deal with that's challenging in the short term. And so this is about being able to, can I be conscious about what I am bringing forward and how I feel? And I'm allowing my dreams to come forward and to see visible, concrete results happen through your sustainable habits. And so this is kind of the sadness or the way that we've struggled before with January, is that we've got these high hopes, but they remain hopes if we engage in actions that aren't sustainable. And so this is part of why the wood snake comes with us into January, because this is a time of newness. It's a time of renewal. And who are we going to be as we step into an energy of renewal? Are we going back to old habits that ultimately aren't sustainable? And if so, how do we expect to create something new? Because I know for myself, when I've done that, it feels good in the moment. It feels like I'm doing something, but that sense of I'm doing something is coming from my ego. It's not coming from my heart. See, our hearts are in conflict when we have a negative emotion arising, because that negative emotion is arising not because we're doing something wrong or bad, but to say something internal in our subconscious is not in alignment. We want to bring all aspects of ourselves along: mind, body, spirit, the passion, the fire, our emotions, our psychological energy, all working in a focused energy so that we have more tangible results. And so when it's time to shift into the fire horse, and we're already starting to feel its energy, but we're not quite there for the shift, because this is our time to say, what is going to be different about me as I step into renewal energy? And how can I ensure that this is focused energy that that has sustainable habits for myself? Otherwise, you'll find yourself spinning your wheels, exhausting yourself, and that sense of being like a wrecking ball without a target. It's just swinging and moving and doing its thing. And you're like, all right, well, at least I'm moving energy. But then you're just blowing things up because you're tired of things being stuck. But is that really how you want to move forward for the rest of 2026? And that's the gift of this kind of in between moment that we find ourselves in. And I know you might even be sick of me saying, it's preparation and strategic planning and, and all that. And that's beautiful, right? Because that part of us that gets agitated about it is where the gold is for us in this refinement process, in the emotional alchemy process. And so it's really being able to say, there's a point to having a wrecking ball, and the wrecking ball wants to be used with intention and focus force, where there's an aim, something that I'm aiming at. And this is the power of selective momentum. And this is what's shifting as we move into the golden age, is that we're integrating the feminine and masculine energies together. So much of the consciousness and Western culture is, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, make things happen. And there is a beauty to that. There is a strength to that. There is a courage to that. And there's also an exhaustion with that. Um, and and it's not sustainable. And so the divine feminine comes in to say, how can I marry both this courage, this willingness to pull myself up by the bootstrap, but be intentional with it, so that what I am moving forward towards is selective. Not everybody and everything gets to just have my energy and I just give, 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 give. That's the unhealthy feminine. And so we need both working together to support us, so that as we enter this new age, we are able to integrate both the higher aspects of both. And so the framework that I keep turning back to is emotional alchemy. Why? Because in order to consciously co-create, you want your body, that physical part of you that's able to move for you, to be in alignment with your mind, and a mind that is focused for your highest good and your spirit, that's able to follow your heart rather than your ego. And so we get the fire in our belly and the passion to move forward. And our psychological energy is there supporting us and helping us become aware what's in the subconscious that may be getting impacted by our ego. And this is our opportunity for refinement. And that's what's so exciting about this time, because when we refine, it's like it's a short-term focus of our energy that allows the long term to be easier for us. And that's what I want for you. And so this process of having all these internal energies aligned and working for you is what will allow you to consciously co-create what really matters to your soul. And why emotional alchemy is so vital is because emotions are the gateway into the subconscious, which has internal aspects running you that you are not fully aware of. And this is normal. This is why negative emotions are constantly going to be with us. They are not something to overcome. They are our allies standing with us, supporting us to refine our energy, to recognize where energy is being leaked so we can be more of a focused container that allows that the power of that light that wants to work through us as us to have the greatest impact through your conscious focus. So in alchemy, emotions are the purifier of your energy. It's so beautiful because they're helping us to sort through that which is coming from the ego and that which is coming from your essence, your spirit, that which you came here to be, your dharma, your soul's purpose here. And so when utilized through an empowered alchemical framework, the impurities of the ego naturally dissolve. There's no fighting your negative feelings. It's the negative emotions are your allies to refine the essence of your energy so that any lingering aspects of the ego can be diminished, which is what allows your potential of your soul's energy to be able to come through you more clearly as you. And so while the powerfulness of this is that it's so needed right now. It's so needed in our society because we are facing uncertainties. And with that, there's these internal tensions. You feel this tension inside of you, and it's being able to hold both that need of, I've got to break free, along with this frenetic energy that is scattered. And how do you hold both? Because I know for myself in the past, I would just let loose and deal with the aftermath later. And I would try to console myself that at least I made movement. But what I've learned through the last year or years, but especially the last year with the wood snake, is that that's exhausting. That gets tiring. And that really doesn't bring me to the outcomes that I want, because when our energy's scattered, we don't really have the energy to give to what we are meant to give. It's just all over the place. And so we're creating movement for movement's sake, but it's not really moving the ball in a direction and the goal to where we want to ultimately bring it towards. And so this is why the fire horse comes forward. It wants to be able to create this fine-tuned energy and take the torch of that and run with it. But we can't just have these little flickers of candles everywhere. It's got to be this powerful torch that we are carrying within inside of us that knows our truth based on our connection to our heart and how it feels to us. And that's the whole beauty of emotional alchemy, because it's guiding you to come back to that sense of knowingness, not based on what is happening in the external, because the external is going to feel chaotic, but how you come back home to yourself in a state of knowingness based on how you are feeling. And it's so powerful. And that's, to me, is like the heart and spirit of a horse. That it has the powerful knowingness of who it is and the power that it is and how to run with that power in a focused and determined way. And so that's what awaits us. It's so powerful. So it's really recognizing that it's time to be done with the ways of movement that come with too much cost, that come with exhaustion, that come with spinning our wheels, and really to move with long-term fulfillment. There's that saying about going for the low-hanging fruit. And sometimes I feel like when we're in that outdated model, we're going for the low-hanging fruit just because we can reach it, even though it's not fully ripened. And this is our opportunity to look at our emotions that are there, and they're impatient, they're agitated. Just go for that pear, that apple. It's hanging there. It's not ripened yet, but I can reach it. That's our ego. And emotional alchemy is saying, wait a minute. You feel that sense of impatience. Let's be with it. You feel that agitation or that frustration because a part of you knows it's not time yet. And what are you going to listen to? What are you going to trust? So just because you can reach the low hanging fruit doesn't mean that we should be picking it. And I've been there trying to pick it, and then you got to sit there and trying to make it ripen, and then you're not able to attend to the wholeness of your dream. And so instead, we are being guided to tend to the wholeness of the tree that holds the dream of our dharma, of our life's purpose, and the fullness of what you desire to come into full fruition. This is our time to honor the fullness of who we are. And it's so powerful and special and waiting for us to honor that about ourselves and the divine timing that's unfolding within and around us. And so, what I'll say is, if this is speaking to you and you would like support with learning how to alchemize your emotions from an empowered feminine framework, then I invite you to check out my Eyes Wide Open program, because this will become your powerful ally for you to support you as you navigate any times of uncertainty when it feels like uncertain in the external, so that you are so clear about your truth, love, and power, and it's felt in alignment with who you came here to be. So I'll make sure to link that in the show notes for you if that is calling to you. And that's part of it, right? It's like, it's hearing that inkling and listening to your heart. And so while this time of year, you're being guided to hold the both and. That pull towards what's next, you feel it, you sense it, it's coming, and continuing to anchor yourself into what is your strategic plan. You are actually building the skill of knowing how to work with your internal energy for the highest good. And that is like one of the most significant things that we can do for ourselves, that people, it's just so underrated. People, we don't understand, because without it, we are self-creating chaos. I don't know if you've ever known someone that like kind of creates their own chaos around them, right? It's like they're complaining about this in their life and that in their life, and there are real challenges that they're facing, but they're not able to take responsibility for their part in what keeps recreating that. And that's what this time is about, is that we're able to look at ourselves and honor our emotions as they come forward, not to go back into old stories that we are so done with, but to know how to utilize this energy to get clearer and clearer about who we truly are and what truly matters to each of our hearts, because that is what is so needed. And this being able to trust ourselves rather than just do is higher consciousness, right? It's not doing because you've got that itch, that inkling, and you feel like you're going to burst, right? This is about finding how to hold both this, um, how do I ensure that I'm really aligned and clear? And you will know this again because the agitation, the irritation, the impatience won't be there. That's only there to help you refine. And so when it's there, again, you're not doing anything wrong. It's helping us find our sweet spot. It's helping to ensure the whole tree is ripened and you're not just going for the low hanging fruit. So finding your sweet spot where you don't allow logic to take over and then diminish your momentum, because this energy arising is powerful, sacred, something we want to work with, but without just allowing it to take off. Because part of the fire horse, what we're going to be dealing with is is that fire going to catch everything else on fire and you can't contain it, right? And so this really, the consciousness of the fire horses is that I'm carrying the torch in a conscious way, and it's focused and directed rather than lighting yourself and everything else on fire around it, right? And so this is honoring this so that you, again, we don't allow logic to take over and diminish the momentum. The momentum's sacred. And at the same time, you pull back enough to know exactly what you are aiming for. And you are clear about what the bullseye feels like to you, what the bullseye feels like. I can't say this enough. You don't have to have this clear, exact picture. I don't think that's great for us, because I think that's where we lose the magic of the universe. You can have a sense, you can put visions out there, but in all those visions that you're putting out there, what do they feel like to you? What is that feeling sense that you are going for with that? And why is that so important to your essence? And there's nothing there's no wrong to that. So really honoring what it feels like, because you are in this space where we have the opportunity to, keep picking up arrows and shooting our bow and arrows and shooting them all over the place and hoping that at some point you'll eventually get what you want, which is exhausting, or you're learning how to trust yourself. And despite all the things going on in the external and all the New Year's noise that says, fire, it's time to fire. You got to fire, 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 make things happen. That you pull back on that bow and you take a deep breath and you pause. So you are clear, so you are focused, so that when you let go of your arrow and it's time to let go, you know before it lands that your goal will be met. And that is felt in your heart. This is that sacred space. This is that sacred pause. And so I invite you to take in how freeing this refined way of working with your energy is. It is so freeing. You set yourself free from the never-ending cycle of working your ass off and then taking time off to recoup. I mean, how done are we with that? Like it's just time to be done with that. We know it does not work. And this is just getting on and off the hamster wheel of life. And it's like, it's really not that fulfilling. And so this is the opportunity instead to refine your energy, utilize your emotions to sift through the part that's just the ego that just wants to fire, fire, fire the arrows everywhere. And instead you create selective momentum on what really matters to you. And if your negative emotions are there, they're there to help you gain clarity about what that looks like for you. for me, as I worked through this emotional alchemy process for myself, the refinement I experienced was claiming what I really needed at this time, even though I thought it wouldn't fit with my own expectations or other people's expectations. And this is where the ego can come in and be like, oh my gosh, haven't I done that? Isn't that so, I mean, in the beginning of our, growth process. And that's the ego that thinks, okay, I've worked through other people's expectations and I'm done. That's again an old broken ascension model that says we only go through this once and we're good to go. And where the feminine is guiding us to remember is that there's ascension and then we descend. And it's a constant loop. It's the infinity loop that we are on to continue to refine so that we can make our lives juicier, more static, more exactly what we want them to be. And so this is what was occurring for me on a very subtle level, but was so powerful to reclaim, to help me fine tune and anchor even more in to what this year will look like for myself. That's going to be outside the bounds of how I've usually done things and how others may be used to me doing things. And that's the whole point for all of us. Our emotions are there to continue to refine and refine in order to direct our energy into the beam of light that we are meant to be. And what a beautiful and sacred and honorable thing that is. So when we are constantly, consciously concentrating our energy rather than allowing it to scatter, you give yourself the energy. You give yourself the energy. Think about that. It's not being scattered. So you're giving yourself the energy for more spontaneity, joy, pleasure, ecstaticness of life. And then when we're in that space, we're a magnet for more of that energy to come to us and through us. Like that's how we are supposed to be living. It's not that we're, how do I want to say this? It's knowing that we're holding both, that we can attune to this energy and how it wants to work through us. And then again, we're in that pause, we're getting clear, and then we let go with a knowingness. And then it's not, I've got to try and effort and push. We can watch the magic of the universe do its thing while we have the space for more joy, more pleasure. And that's how we are meant to be living our lives in this moment. So if you haven't yet listened to my last episode, number 319, which is about dreaming the impossible dream by dreaming beyond who you once were, I invite you to check that out because it's very powerful to help us know that what is in our hearts is possible. It is going to require us to identify with ourselves differently and then to take that dreaming beyond who you once were to ultimately require you to act differently. And that's why we are in this sweet spot right now to really anchor in and remember like there's an old way of doing things that didn't give me the outcome that I wanted, even though my ego felt this sense of urgency. And how can I refine it? How can I refine my energy? For me, this has meant slowing down in a culture that says now is the time, we've got to speed up, and just sitting with, I know something is awaiting to be born. I feel it. And I'm sure you feel it inside you as well. But fast forwarding to the fire horse and pushing to make things happen is just the old way. It's the outdated way. So as you pause and take a deep breath and feel grounded in your very being, having your mind, body, spirit, your passion, your emotion, all working in alignment, ask yourself, in this space, what do I know to be true? What do I know to be true? And you'll notice a certain power to the quietness of what is speaking from your heart. And when that knowingness feels embraced by your heart, despite how far or how blurry the bullseye of your dream looks, that is when you'll be asked to take aim and trust as you set your arrow free. So this is your opportunity to be in that space and enjoy the power and magic of this time of taking that meaningful in-breath. Before you know it, it'll be time to let go, and you'll be witnessing the magic of the universe take over in your favor. I can't wait for what you are going to be creating and the love and the light beam that is uniquely yours. It's going to be coming forward, what you are going to be directing your conscious energy and momentum towards. And as you do, know that there is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, only to remember. I'll see you next week. Take care.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.